Welcome to St. Louis, gateway to the West, home of Busch Stadium, the Cardinals, and the Arch. We're about 10 miles from downtown St. Louis, and this is our subject house, a charming little Dutch colonial with a gambrel roof. And here's a nice touch. I love these dormers with these angled cheek walls. And those little windows up there really add a nice little detail. Hi, I'm Tom Silva from Ask This Old House.
Hi, I'm Mike Banker, and this is my wife, Tricia.
Hi,
Nice to meet you both.
Nice to meet you.
So how long have you lived here?
We've been here for 2 years.
2 years. I was looking at those dormers and I really like those angled walls, but I also noticed that you have a new roof up there?
Yeah, the first thing we did when we bought the house was put a new roof on it.
And new gutters.
Well, that was smart in both. A new roof to keep the house dry and new gutters and downspouts to keep the water away from the foundation.
We've done some other things since we've been here, though.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
What are we going out here for?
Well, to show you one of our other big projects.
Oh, the street?
Yeah.
You're beautifying the street?
Yes.
What's that all about?
No, actually, we had our clay pipe in our front yard, our sewer line. It collapsed last fall.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah, we had raw sewage backing in our basement, so it was pretty disgusting.
Yeah.
That's so nasty.
Yeah, and it was so expensive because by the time the job was done, it was about $8,000.
Well, I hope you've got that all corrected.
It better be corrected.
Now, you wrote us about your foundation.
Yeah, let me show you over here on the side of the house. As you can see, it is a brick foundation.
Yeah, yeah.
We've had problems with the mortar coming loose. It's just been falling out. Plus, we have some loose bricks.
Oh, yeah. Okay, well, I guess the first thing I want to know is, do you get water in the basement?
We do get some water in the basement, yes.
Okay. Well, let me explain, first of all, when you're repairing a joint between brick or block and you're repairing that mortar, that's called pointing. It actually looks like someone has done some repair work here. Now, the first thing I would want to do is I want to inspect the rest of the foundation, so I'm going to take a look around.
Okay.
And if we can confine the work to this area right here, if you want to remove this downspout, I'll get some tools and we can get started.
Sounds
Okay.
good. Thanks, Tom.
Well, the good news is the foundation and the rest of the house looks pretty good. And I'm also glad that you put new gutters and downspouts on. Because what I think might have happened, the old gutters and downspouts might not have been working. The water really collects up here in this part of the roof, and I think it might have splashed down on the driveway, splashing up against your foundation, washing out these joints. But there's another problem. I think that someone had repointed this building, and they used a mortar that is too hard.
Wouldn't you want to have a hard mortar to hold everything?
You'd think that, but you don't want a mortar that is harder than the brick. The brick is going to expand and contract. It's going to move with the weather conditions, and you want something that will give, thus a mortar that is softer than the brick. All right? Now let's get our safety glasses on. I brought some tools in. I brought in what is called a raking bar. And what we want to do now is we want to rake out the mortar in these joints. Now it's important that we don't go too deep. We have a 1/2 inch joint. I don't want to go any deeper than 1 inch. These are the bed joints right here. All right, we rake them out. All right, Trish, well, if you want to grab that raking bar right there, we can
Okay.
start raking this out.
So I don't want to go too far.
We want to go about 1 inch deep, and we
Okay.
want to keep it as even as we can depth-wise.
Okay.
All right.
Back and forth.
Back
in
and
one
forth. See,
direction.
just drag it right out. That'll dig right in.
Okay.
It'll almost bottom out to where you want it.
So how do you know if you've gone in too far?
Well, you only want to go in about 1 inch, but the bar has a tapered end on it. And in most of the joints, that taper will stop you at about 1 inch.
Okay.
Take your time, go little by little. It's not a rush. All right, it's looking good. Now, the joints that you guys are working on are called bed joints. Those are the horizontal rows. The joints at the end of the bricks are called head joints. Now, we're going to clean those out with a different tool. We're actually going to use a chisel and a hammer. Now, you're going to take the chisel and you're going to bang that corner. Make
Okay.
sure the chisel doesn't hit this brick, all right? And you're going to take it, hold it nice and firm like that. And look at where you're hitting. Don't look at the chisel, because if you look at the chisel, you miss and hit your hand.
And that's
That will hurt.
Okay.
Okay, there you go.
Okay. Don't leave me.
I'm
Stay
right here.
by me. Okay.
Look at where you're hitting. Tap it.
Okay.
Tap it. Now move the chisel. Now tap it again. Move the chisel. Move the chisel out of the way.
Keep going.
Yep. Now see how it's cleaned out?
Uh-huh.
Take the chisel, rake it out with the chisel. Yeah.
All right.
See, now take your chisel and just go up and down straight like that.
Okay.
Then you're in about an inch.
Okay. Okay, let's see.
There you go. Yeah. I think you've got it. Looking good, Trish. You're making great headway. Well, now we're ready for the mortar. And whenever dealing with brick mortar, the ingredients are always the same. Sand, hydrated lime, and Portland cement. What does change is the proportions. To match your original mortar, we're going to choose 6 parts sand, 1 part hydrated lime, and 1 part of Portland cement. We also want to make sure that we match the granule of the sand, so we're going to choose a medium grain sand. Now, when you put these ingredients together, this is called a type N mortar.
Type N mortar.
Type N.
Okay. So we're gonna mix all this up.
We actually don't have to. They actually can buy that in a bag, all mixed, and all we have to do is add water. All right, now we're ready to add the water. So break open the bag with the hoe. All right, I'm gonna dump it out. Get this all out. Now the amount of water that's going to be needed for each bag is about 1 to 1.5 gallons of water. So you can start mixing as I add. Just pull the mortar right into, that's right, pull it right around. That's right.
How's this?
That's good. Just pull the wet into the dry. Keep mixing. I'm going to add a little more water for you. What I like to do is add a little bit of water at a time so that you don't make the mix soupy.
What happens when it's too soupy?
It'll run all over the place. Let's see how it feels, Mike. We got a good mix here. Just making sure that we don't have any dry spots or any dry lumps. I want to make it nice and creamy. Okay, I think we're just going to let this slake or cure for about 15 minutes, and we're ready to go.
Okay.
While we're waiting for our mortar mix to set up, let's look at the condition of our brick. Now, right here in the lower corner, see this brick right here is actually cracked and broken. This needs to be replaced. Now, I follow this brick right here, and I look across the front. I can see there's a big crack and a piece missing. This also needs to be replaced. Let's start by removing this brick. Okay, I'm going to grab that one out with a hammer, but I want to be careful not to disturb the surrounding brick. Clean that all out. I want to make sure we remove all of the loose mortar back here because I want to make sure I have plenty of room for the new brick to fit. Oh, it's good you had some old brick laying around. Those are going to come in handy. I want to spray the brick down just a little bit so it won't be dry, because a dry brick will suck the water out of our new mortar, causing it to crack. Rather than work from the wheelbarrow or a bucket, I find it easy to use this little piece of plywood and load my mortar right on it. This is called a mortar board. A couple of scoops on. Okay. Now we're ready to lay some brick. Okay, now I want to take and lay a nice little bed joint right down in here. I want to lay it a little bit thick because I want to keep the brick up. Now I want to put a little bit on the head joint. And I'll put some on the top of the brick. And I'll try to push this brick into position. Working it back and forth so it goes down and in. Okay. All right, now I want to tap this brick down so the top of this brick is flush with the existing brick. That looks pretty good. Now I want to fill in behind the brick, fill up that void. Okay, now I want to lay another bed joint right here in the front. Now I'm going to take another brick. I'm going to do the head. And a bed. And now I want to try to work it in. Now I want to push the brick in so that this face is flush with this face. Pay attention to the level. That looks pretty good. Okay, we're ready for the last brick. You want to set it?
Sounds good. Absolutely.
All right, so the first thing you want to do is take your trowel and lay a good bed right on top. Right inside the wall there. Slap it right in there. There you go. Now work it down, push it right onto the brick, but keep it thick. Then you got to work it up onto the head joint of each brick, both on this one and on this one. That's right. Push it right against the brick hard. Right now, flatten out the bed joint. Keep it nice and thick. Now try to get some on that head joint around the corner. Push it right hard. Push it right against the brick hard. Yeah. Okay, push it in nice. There you go. All right, now you're going to grab that brick and you're going to put a nice coat of bed joint right on the top. Push it right down. Push it right on there. Now spread it around nice and thin. There you go. Okay. Okay, that's good. What I want you to do now is take the brick and work it into position, back and forth. Push it right in there. That's right. Keep going. Now when you come to a point where you can't go any further, take the mallet and tap it gently. Work it, tap it, keep going. Okay, now come around the end here and just tap it back just a hair. Oh, that's good. That's good. All right, now take your trowel and work off all the excess.
Hey, Tom. This mortar's getting pretty stiff.
Well, that's actually good because I want the mortar stiffer when we are pointing up the wall than when we were laying brick. So I'm going to lay some mortar on my hock. I'm going to take it over to the wall, and now I'm going to pack the joint using this narrow knife jointer. Pack it right in there. Now we're ready to start pointing the wall. And I have here some hand-forged jointer tools. Here's different profile. This is a V-groove, and these are concave. The concave is a recommended profile for exterior use because it sheds the water nice. Why don't you put some mortar on your hock and we'll get you over to the wall.
Okay.
All right, now the first thing I want to do is I want to put some mortar on my pointer and I want to push it into the joint. Packing that in nice and tight. put it right at the point of the joiner like that. See, I'm at the front end of it.
Okay.
I push it right into that joint, nice and hard. You notice how I really pack it in there. You don't want any air or space behind it.
Okay, so really good and tight, huh?
That's right.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead. I gotta say, that looks great. You guys are about ready to become masons.
Thanks a lot,
Thanks.
but it is a lot harder than it looks.
Well, there's a couple of things left to do. We have to scrape off this excess with a trowel, all right? Then in about 20 minutes, once it's set up, I want you to take the brush and I want you to brush the wall diagonally. Don't go with the joints because you'll mess them up.
Okay, sounds
Wow.
good. Thank you so much for coming all the way out here to help us.
Oh, it was fun.
Thank
Oh, thank you.
Thanks,
You're
Tom.
welcome.
Couldn't
My
have done it
pleasure.
without you.
Oh,
Thank you so much.
Pretty good, Tommy. You got a hug out of it.
I did get a hug, yeah.
Now, in that piece, you talked about type and mortar. I didn't even know there was a rating system.
Well, there are different types of mortar, and you want to make sure that you match up the type of mortar with the type of wall that you're working on.
And it's important how you finish those joints.
Right, I used a pointing tool that gave me a nice concave joint, which really sheds the water nicely.
And a clean, neat-looking job.
Yep.
All right, thanks, guys. And be sure to keep your letters and your emails coming because we would love to hear from you. So until next time, I'm Kevin O'Connor
I'm Richard Thewey.
I'm Roger Cook.
And I'm Tom Silva.
for Ask This Old House. Hey, guys, can I get a hug?
No. Yeah, have a brick.
No, what am I going to do with this?
Build a house.